What it is, Cyberpunk Speech and Grease here. We need to talk about some of the latest news in Cyberpunk 2077. First, though, I do need to say that ever since that big update 1.6, I have been enjoying the hell out of this game. Kudos to CDPR, home run, knocked it out of the park, and it definitely leaves me wondering, where would this game be at today if it had launched with that 1.6 update? It'd probably be in a completely different situation, I'd have to guess. With that being said, we need to talk about the first chunk of bad news, and that is if you happen to be on last-gen console, sadly, CDPR has announced that they are no longer going to support them. That's right, if you happen to be on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, you're no longer going to get support for Cyberpunk. Now this leaves a sour taste in my mouth because it makes me flash back to what Bungie did in Destiny 1 when they went from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 and they cut all support with the previous gen console, the PS3. So definitely does, as I said, leave a sour taste in my mouth. At the same time, I can certainly see this from CDPR's perspective. After all, this game, Cyberpunk, can't really shine or evolve to the point that it needs to on last-gen consoles. And you can definitely kind of see the game really improving every day on last-gen consoles, like the PS5, which I happen to be on. Again, definitely conflicted here. So, moving on, let's talk about the DLC for Cyberpunk. What can we expect? Well, we were all under the impression it was going to be very similar to The Witcher 3. Now, if you don't know, The Witcher 3 actually received 2 big, huge DLCs, and then a bunch of small, different kind of cosmetics and different features and weapons and things of that nature DLC on top of that. Well, CDPR has announced that Cyberpunk is only going to be getting one single solitary piece of DLC, one big DLC. In fact, you can check that trailer out now called Phantom Liberty, which again is really kind of a bummer. I feel like I finally got Cyberpunk the game that I bought for ever since update 1.6, and I kind of feel like it's going away now after just so quickly. Yeah, of course, again, the question is, with that influx of new blood to the game of Cyberpunk, with the Edge Runners anime on Netflix and all of the fixes and updates to Cyberpunk, could we potentially change CDPR's mind going forward? If there's enough activity on this game, enough purchases, would CDPR be willing to do a second big DLC? I don't know. It's definitely questionable in my mind. Although CDPR is a developer, they need to make money, and unfortunately, the game starting at what, $60 for the standard edition at launch, and it's now down to like $5-10. Yeah, it doesn't leave a lot of margin for getting your money back, your revenue back. That's for sure. So again, I can kind of see this from both perspectives, but it is most certainly a bummer. With that being said, let's talk about some of the things that you should not expect for Cyberpunk. These are some things that CDPR has just outright said that this is not going to be added to this first Cyberpunk game. I mean, we can hope, sure, maybe CDPR will surprise us with something, but we're talking about a lot of work, so bear that in mind. The first thing we need to talk about is vehicle customization. This is something when I first started seeing some of the really cool vehicles that CDPR had added to the game. And by the way, CDPR, I know there's a car guy or a car gal there at the studio. I know there is. You have too many Easter eggs in this game to make me believe that there's not a car guy or car girl there. You've got the General Lee, 69 Dodge Charger. You got the Bullet, the 68 Fastback Mustang. I mean, come on, there's so many car Easter eggs. I'm telling you, there's someone there that's a fan. You're just like me, a gearhead. But anyway, I digress. I move on. The thing is that having a customization kind of shop or feature would be really freaking cool in this game. Absolutely. But it would be a hell of a lot of work as well. CDPR would have to add garages all over Night City, as well as out in the Badlands. They would have to make sure that every vehicle works with every possible different customization, as well as colors. It's a huge amount of work, and probably not likely for us to see something like that in this game, sadly. Listen, I'm all for it. I would love to see it in this game, but I think the odds are against us. Now, the next thing you should not expect is the trains. In fact, I just did a video on riding the trains, the Night City trains. You can check that out. Look, from a distance, the trains, they look fine. I'm not going to say they look great, but they look fine. They're passable. But up close, it's a completely different story. And I mean no disrespect to anybody at CDPR's studio, but the trains are a hot mess. But again, They've basically been designed to look passable at a distance. Once you get close up, the chinks in the armor start to show. Again, if you want to see what I'm referring to, you can kind of check out that video I did just recently about riding the Night City trains. The point that I'm making here is the odds of us getting, trains that we can actually ride on in this game, slim to none. Probably not going to happen. Again, I'm all for hoping. It would be really great to see. I tell you, it's absolutely amazing riding around Night City at night, standing on a train. The city looks amazing. It really does. I can't put it into words. And it's just such a bummer that that's not a thing. But moving on. Flying vehicles. This is the sticking point for me personally, because it's just blatantly missing. We see flying vehicles in the game world. We see lore for flying vehicles. In fact, if you go into your menu, bottom right corner database, you can scroll down and see all of the different flying vehicles. It's something I was really hoping that maybe, fingers crossed, holding my breath, we could potentially see some flying vehicles. Sadly, CDPR has kind of said from the get-go, that ain't happening. Nobody's more bummed about that than I am. But let's talk about the work that CDPR would have to do to actually implement something like that. First of all, they would have to put a ceiling, meaning kind of a limit where people could fly to in a flying vehicle, but go no further. The next thing they would have to do is they would have to make sure all of the buildings have kind of a physical presence in that game world. So if you happen to bump into it with your flying vehicle, your vehicle takes damage. It's the way it's going to work. And that's going to be a big undertaking as well, because there's still some buildings out there that you can actually just kind of walk through. So, in fact, I may do a video of me just crawling around Night City, all of the tall buildings, so you can see it. Next, they're going to have to create some sort of fall arrest system. I would say like a parachute, but I would rather see something more sci-fi. I don't know about you guys and gals, but that's what I would like to see. Maybe like a deployable canopy, something that auto-deploys, that allows you to glide, that arrests your fall, but not a parachute, if you know what I mean. I think that would be good, because you're going to need something like that if your vehicle gets destroyed by running into buildings or taking fire, or if you just bail out. You need something to arrest that fall so you don't automatically instant death, right? So that's something they would have to do as well. I guess the point that I'm making is it's a lot of work. Now, if you're on PC, then you're lucky, because there's already a modder that has created a flying vehicle mod, which that's awesome. It doesn't quite fit the flying vehicle appeal if you look at the lore, but at least it's better than nothing. I can imagine flying around Night City at night looks freaking amazing. But that's something that those of us on console will never get to see, sadly, and I am truly bummed about that. But we can at least hope that the next Cyberpunk game, in 5 years, is going to have these features. At least, again, we can hope. I know I certainly am. Feel free to let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and until next time, peace out.